Good afternoon, everyone. As this blizzard winds its way across North America, look for about 2 feet of snow, Great Lakes region. Overall, lower 48 cooler, at least 5 degrees Fahrenheit, but focusing in on where we grow the grains across the country, 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Temperature front coming through from 102 degrees Fahrenheit down to 26. That's a large drop on the storm front. Looking at temperatures, I noticed extreme cold over Hudson Bay because I was interested to find the weekly here to see how far above average it is over the last few years. They show you the total concentrations, still at 100%. They show you the ice density, incredible thickness. Iceberg counts out, and I'll leave you with a little humor here. Children just won't know what bare ground looks like due to snow cover. Oh, that kind of sounds like, remember, the opposite of Al Gore telling us our children will never know what snow looks like. And while you're watching the video, please remember to subscribe to Adapt 2030 and click that bell so you can get the latest updates. And as this late season blizzard spreads across Canada and the US, snow totals for the next 5 days, upwards of 2 feet in the Great Lakes region. You can see your local area there with the snow totals, 4 or 5 inches New England states. Really a lot of snow in Canada. Off this chart here, there's an enormous amount of snow into the Maritimes. Jumping over to Ryan Maui's Twitter feed, compiling the temperature data showing April very far below normal, lower 48, not including Alaska, but specifically the grain growing belts, Midwest, Plains states, 20 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. Planting's not really happening. Even look on AgWeb, they're so far behind. They only have some barley in the ground. White out here for you. See that darker purple and that sort of really light pink? That's where we grow our grains. So just expect planting to be delayed this year. Now this next spinning low in the Atlantic, I forgot even what number we're on now. But anyway, here's another one. Rare and unusual, number 7, 8, 9, 10 already. This one's going to be heading over to the UK. So look for incredibly large waves. Portugal, huge waves coming your way as well. Now, this out-of-season blizzard that's here right now is going to drop temperatures. So this is a perfect example of what the weather front looks like. You're going to have to prepare for this. I'm curious what kind of winds are going to accompany this. So if any of you are out there with photos, I would love to see them. I'll share them on my video here if you do send them in to me. Temperatures in Woodward, Oklahoma are going to go from 102 degrees Fahrenheit down to 26 degrees Fahrenheit in a 24-hour period. Just imagine the kind of wind ferocity and the snow, sleet mix that's going to be coming in with this. Incredibly high winds and shear front. I really want to be under that to see and experience and feel the energy from it. And here we have a look at Glacier National Park. You've been told it's melting. Well, here's the conditions still. I don't think those glaciers are going anywhere right now. And of course, Stephen Goddard, pen name of Tony Heller, Montana children just won't know what bare ground looks like. Playing off of Al Gore's famous statement, your children will never know what snow is. Here it's been snowing so much that they don't even see the bare ground for, what, an extra 2 months this year? Excellent. Guess we can believe the IPCC, they've been so accurate. Taking a look at the temperature map here, this is ground, this is 2-meter temperatures. April 13th, I see that huge blob of extreme cold air over Hudson Bay. Almost perfect straight line through the Great Lakes there. Very unique atmospheric conditions at the moment. Now, I've been following Hudson Bay since late 2014-15. I'm always jumping to Canadian Ice Service to try to get the charts around Hudson Bay and some of the coastal in the Davis Strait and these kind of areas near Baffin Island. So I remember these older stories going back about Hudson Bay with unusual ice conditions. We're going to start back here in 2015. Remember the resupply ships needed icebreakers to go in with fuel tankers. They were behind schedule and ships trapped, and they had to bring in the Canadian Coast Guard to get those vessels free. And then last year, remember that climate change group that was delayed by 8-meter thick ice, 25-foot thick ice delayed their supposed global warming expedition, laughed at that one. Jumped over, and I went to get the historical ice coverage data, specifically week by week. That bottom is the weekly. You know what? They haven't been updating it this year. I thought that's incredibly strange. Every other product on their site is updated. But here I could not find anything on the weekly or the seasonal. So here's an idea of what I mean. This chart was last updated in November of 2017. Now as it progresses forward, those bars on the left start to drop off, but they should be recording ice already at this time of the year because it should be melting. Anyway, not available on the product this year. Thought I'd bring that to your attention, but the ice coverage totals, and you can still see the straits out into what is open water to Greenland. That would be the Davis Strait up there. They're having ice arches this year backing up, creating a lot of icebergs, heavy iceberg season. Full ice coverage still over Hudson Bay, thickening and thickening and thickening. They believe this year that there'll be carryover ice, that it won't all melt through this season, which is unbelievable as we've been fed global warming. And the Arctic's melting, so the water should be warmer, should it not? And should it not make its way into the bay and warm up the bay and melt all the ice? Maybe not this year. This is a great statistical graph as well. It shows you the type of ice, if it's multi-year ice, medium, or heavy density thickness. That darker green that's almost evergreen is thick first-year ice. Now, it's interesting how it's in some of the waterways, passages, and channels up there that it would be that thick. You think you'd get that more into the shoreline like you see on the East Coast where it says B right in Hudson Bay. And then you see a lot of medium first-year thickness. But when they say thick, again, they're talking about 8 meters thick, 4 to 6 meters thick. And then you have to multiply by 3 so you can go ahead and get the English equivalent. So if it's 6 meters thick, that's 18 feet. And you'll find that box on the bottom left there. It talks about the past 7 days of ice coverage and thickness compared to the normal or the mean. Almost everything's above normal except those top 2 readings there. And speaking of the ice arches causing more icebergs, here's the latest Iceberg Report. Remember, the average for this time of the year should be around 35 to 37. More than 100 out here, so we're looking at far above the average as well, which was expected anyway. These oceanic cycles, the cooling cycles, the warming cycles, they're all cycles. We're going back into the cool cycles, so just expect more ice, cooler temperatures, anomalous weather fronts and blizzards. It's just part of the cooling cycle. Not CO2, not you. It's the sun and cycles. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you got something out of it. I'll keep checking back to see if I can find some weekly totals coming out of Hudson Bay through the universities, perhaps, not the Canadian Ice Service.